and I will not be another Tom Corbett. I bring a future of conservatism to Pennsylvania that we desperately need. I will be a pit bull in Harrisburg and hold the Republicans accountable to get the job done.
Ms. Hart?
It's pretty easy to understand that a coalition needs to be built with members who don't agree on everything. I've been elected to the state Senate 3 times from a Democrat registered district. I was elected to the United States House 3 times from a Democrat registered district. It's important for us as candidates, if we want to serve as governor, to understand that an individual who happens to be a member of one party or another, that those parties aren't monoliths. People all have their own thoughts about issues. Whether they're Republican or Democrat is irrelevant. What's important is what their real concerns are. Education is one. We've seen coalitions build very well around school choice and charter schools among Republicans and Democrats. Let's start there. Let's look at the small business people who were damaged by bad rules and bureaucracy, Republicans and Democrats. Let's start there. I'm good at building coalitions. I'm a proven coalition builder, and I know that I can reach across party lines to find the things that are on our Republican agenda that the Democrats will want to.
Senator?
Courage is taking action when it actually counts. And what this state needs right now is a lot of courage and a bold agenda. You know, when I was a county commissioner, I had people telling me, well, if you eliminate those 6 government agencies, you will never get reelected again. And there I stood, being reelected stronger than I ever had before. When you get to Harrisburg and you run into special interest, as PSEA has been running advertisements against me for the last 9 months, social media, TV, because I believe in championing children and their educational opportunities and the rights of families. We need courage, we need boldness, and yes, you have to work. Anyone who says that the governor can do whatever without working with the General Assembly, but that's where you need a team builder. Whether it's the secretaries around you who share your vision, or sitting down with the General Assembly and devising a pro-growth, pro-family agenda for Pennsylvania and getting it done and doing what you say you're going to do as soon as possible. That is what we're going to need to turn the ship around.
Mr. Berger.
When I was about 25 years old, I went down to Virginia, and I was looking for a tar kettle for my business at the time, and it was $99. So this was a really big unit too. So I went down there, and I picked it up, I talked to the guy, and I took it straight to the junkyard. When I took it to the junkyard, I got $1,350 for that tar kettle. Army surplus tar kettle. When I come home, I looked up the actual price of that tar kettle. $250,000 I purchased for $99. Including, and this is what brings me to also the schools in PA. When they want to up their taxes, and for what? For $1 million football fields? Where are they spending all this money? As a business owner, I can't just overspend my budget and expect somebody else to pay for it. That's not how it works. So I think we should go in there, and when these schools want to actually start overspending and start raising their taxes, we need third-party auditors in there to start seeing exactly where this money came from and why it's being spent. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. For question number 5, we're going to begin at podium number 4. Dr. Zama and Allison, you have that question.
There are currently more jobs available than people looking for work in the Commonwealth. Eligible workers are dropping out of the labor force in record numbers. How would your administration address these problems in our economy?
Excellent question. You know, we're now seeing the effects of failed policies, not just in Pennsylvania, nationally. If you do something to take away the motivation of a human being to work, it's going to be very difficult afterwards to motivate him again to work. And so all the free money that people have been given, and all the policies that encourage people to stay home and be used as political pawns or for a reason for political ascendancy is coming now to fruition in Pennsylvania. What I will do as governor is that I will obviously, be a drum major for businesses in Pennsylvania and encourage people to work and let them know the essence of working. America was built on that spirit, working spirit. I stand here today, really, as the ultimate manifestation of hard work and success, because the psychologists tell us that one of the number one reasons people go to work is to have a better sense of self. And if you look at the crimes that are rising in Philadelphia, even with all the monies, it explains that those policies have failed. Under my administration, it will be handled different.
As a candidate from a town called Aliquippa in western Pennsylvania, I grew up understanding hard work. I worked hard labor in the steel mills to put myself through law school. So work is an essence of a person, and it has to be there. So we have to encourage work. Our plan, the RICHEY administration's plan, encourages people to work, one, by getting us down to 0% income tax. And income tax only penalizes people who have the audacity to get off their butt and go out and work. So that'll be an encouragement. Secondly, when we unleash our energy and manufacturing industries, this is going to attract people to the state, attract labor to the state to get these good paying jobs at 0% income tax. And we will have the labor force. And thirdly, under our education reforms, I believe that we need to have a good academic route to get people to college, but people like my dad, they're interested in working with their hands and fixing things. And we need to have a better route, which I call an occupation route, where we start training kids after 9th grade, real world things like checkbooks and so forth, and get them an apprenticeship by their senior year so they're making money and eligible for the workforce when they're 18.
Mr. White.
Yes, on day one, we're going to stop paying people to stay home, quite frankly, and they're going to have to go out and get a job. And they're going to at least show proof, as they used to have to, that they're searching for a job. But we're also going to need a long-term plan. This is a real-life experience for me, being a business owner, trying to get people to work in the trades. I graduated high school. I'm a vote tech student. We have to expand our vote tech opportunities to our high school students. We grade our high schools on the success of how many kids go to college. We need to stop that. We need to start grading them on the kids being a success, getting a job, and being productive in Pennsylvania. Coming out of high school, if we could expand our vote tech students, we only have 3% now going to vote tech. If we expand those vote tech schools, they can come out of high school instead of going to college, making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. A lot of people do not want to go to college. College is a great course for some people. It certainly was not for me. I want to be able to train for the future. We need to have a vision for a future, and that's something that has been missing in Pennsylvania for quite a while.
Mr. MONN.
Well, I live this problem every day of my life. Again, trying to find employees to fill open jobs is almost impossible at times. I'm labeled as one of those entry-level type of businesses, and again, I'm okay with that. But it doesn't even, I hear all the time, Jason, pay your employees more. I can tell you that I pay my employees almost double minimum wage currently in Pennsylvania, and I still can't get employees. I'm going to put a little fact out here that a lot of us probably already know. Believe it or not, government can't fix everything, okay? Some of this is a work ethic that has to come to be taught again by parents to their kids. That's not government's job, okay? Government, again, like I said earlier, has ways to facilitate progress and not to dictate how to do it. This is one of these ways. We can find ways to make it easier for kids to decide what they want to do in life. My two children, I have one child who tried college, decided it wasn't for him. I have another young girl who is in college. So again, this is one of those issues that to me, it's more of a parental issue in building pride and making yourself a better person than it is of something that government should be doing by itself.
Thank you. Mr. Shiraki.
Governor Wolf closed too much for too long. He was too slow to reopen, and then he paid people not to work. It's why our unemployment rate is 1.5% worse than the national average. It's why if we were at the national average, there'd be 95,000 more Pennsylvanians going to work each day. But the problem goes beyond that. But because our unemployment rate is so high, here we go, is another picture. This is the Caps. They run a mechanic shop in Venango County. They're suffering the other consequences. Not only can't they find employees, but they have to wait longer to get supplies, and the supplies they buy cost more. That's the effect of shutting down an economy. That's the effect of paying people not to work. It helps those trying to go to work and earn a business and earn a living. So what do we need to do? We need to fix the Department of Labor. They've done almost everything wrong too. People were locked out of their jobs, then they didn't get paid. Then we paid people not to work. We need to fix the Department of Labor. Most of all, the governor of Pennsylvania needs to say this: it's time to go to work. It's time to go back to work. It's your economic and moral duty to do so.
Commissioner?
A key component to job growth is public safety. Right now, particularly in our major cities such as Philadelphia, there's been total lawlessness for the last couple years, where criminals run around the streets, record high murder rates. In June of 2020, the city burned. Center City, Philadelphia, the business district, looked like a third world country war zone with all the riots and looting, and they were getting away with that. And I was the only elected official in Pennsylvania to stand up and publicly denounce that type of criminal behavior. And I took a lot of heat for it. And I also had the courage to speak the truth about Black Lives Matter and what they did to our cities. And I took a lot of heat. I had protesters 4 times in front of my home. They called for my resignation, and I wouldn't back down. And as your next governor, I won't back down. I'll support the blue. I'll support law enforcement, give them the resources they need to protect our communities so law-abiding citizens feel safe to work. They feel safe to create a new business in Philadelphia and everywhere across the state. So public safety and law and order is a key component to job growth, and I will make sure that happens as your next governor.
Ms. Hart?
Again, I agree with the comments from my fellow candidates here, but I want to add some things that I think are important. And the eligible workers dropping out of the workforce, when you look at the slow return, the slowest to return are women. Why is this? Well, I think a lot of the reason has to do with schools being closed and students being at home. A number of surveys that I have seen show that families are making decisions based on the fact that their students are going to be learning at home. And the cost of childcare, the cost of giving up a job where they're going to be taxed pretty heavily anyway as Pennsylvania residents, they're starting to make decisions economically, and a lot of women are making the choice to stay home. Granted, if we incentivize people to work with a more sensible tax regime, we'd be a lot better off. We certainly need our teachers back in the classroom, and we also need our public employees back at work in our state capital. The tax system is not friendly to families, and we need to make sure that encouraging them to build their economy at home is something that we can focus on and achieve.
Senator Martin.
We can't incentivize people not to work. The governor's vetoed bills, my bill to put on his desk in terms of work requirements or community engagement or work search requirements for programs like Medicaid. We cannot continue to allow these programs to exist without getting people to do their part, to get job trained, right? To get an education, to go out and actually look for a job. But that's not the Pennsylvania story right now, and this is what the governor is resisting. On top of that, Pennsylvania has the highest cost of higher education in the entire country. And are we all surprised to know we also have the highest correlation of debt per student out there, which keeps them from investing in Pennsylvania by buying a home, buying a car, planting their roots here? It's all part of the bigger picture of why we're faced with the decline that we have. And the way right now that we invest money in Pennsylvania is very institution-based. We need to be economic and incentivize people to go into the trades, right? Or if we have a nursing shortage, to support them there. That's how you make a big difference in trying to get our workforce back to work.
Mr. Berger.
First off, we need to limit unemployment. 30 days. Done. You can't find a job in 30 days in this market, you ain't looking. It's as simple as that. Next, we need to get a computer together, get some websites together where it lists every single job that's out there, from the newspapers to Indeed to LinkedIn, whatever thing is out there. Get them to sign up for this. And then we can take these websites and we can send them to New York, Jersey, Ohio. Let's try telling people exactly that we have better jobs than the states that they're working in today. Get them to come back to PA that way. Thank you.
Senator Corman.
Yes, thank you. Look, we need Washington, D.C. to turn the spigot off. and quit trying to, incentivize the economy. The economy was doing just great until Tom Wolf shut it down. Tom Wolf's response to the economy, with the lack of filling jobs is, well, employers just need to pay them more. Well, great, that gives us inflation. And so now everyone at the kitchen table is trying to figure out why their grocery bills and their energy costs are so much higher than they once were. But the key to the economy is having good jobs. And that's why I've been advocating to embracing the energy economy. That's how we can bring industry back to Pennsylvania. That's how we can create those family-sustaining jobs that support communities. And then we had to have a workforce to fill those jobs. A workforce by having a first-class education system that empowers parents to make the best decision for their children. Your parents' family's zip code and economic status should not determine what school they go to. Parents should decide what school their kids go to. Where is the best place for them to succeed? That's how you put people first, by making sure we have jobs and we have an education environment to fill those jobs.
Mr. Ventry.
Handouts don't work. Handouts are the road to socialism. We have immigrants who come to this country and then they vote for the National Socialist Democrats and their policies. The DNC subcontracted Antifa and BLM to cause chaos in this country. They would go to any length to beat us, and they did with President Trump. People need to assimilate into American values, as Charlie and Dr. Zama did, who weren't born in this country. Those are the type of people you want to emulate. We need to teach creation in schools. There's 14 states that teach creation. We're going to be 15. We're going to teach 1776 education like President Trump had introduced. The only values that are good values for our children are conservative values. You have to take pride in your accomplishments. Welfare is going to be limited to 6 years for the child, 10 years for the mother, and we're going to make Pennsylvania great again by a large business tax cut, and everything will flow from that. Thank you.
Mr. Giroux.
Though I've lived in Pennsylvania longer than anybody on this stage, Mr. Ventry's right. I wasn't born here. I was born in a slum in southern Brazil. And my birth mother wanted me to be adopted. The only thing she asked was that I be adopted by Americans, because she knew that America was the land of opportunity and freedom to pursue those opportunities. What we have now is the Biden-Wolf economy. I grew up the hard way. I worked more lousy jobs than Mike Rowe. But all of those experiences taught me the dignity of work. And today, we've turned the corner to where we're paying people not to work. We've made the difference between working and not working not worth working for. And we have to reverse that. If we do, we can have job creation that's not only plentiful, but provides opportunity and freedom for every citizen of this Commonwealth, and provides with that the hopeful future of true economic prosperity for all.
Mr. McSwain.
In order to unleash our workforce, we have to move away from big government policies, away from command and control and mandates, to a free enterprise, free market system that rewards ingenuity and hard work. And Joe Biden and Tom Wolf have set up all the wrong incentives, paying people not to work. And let me give you an example. When I was campaigning this past fall in Luzerne County, I visited Lindy Corporation, which is a construction company. When I was talking to employees on the shop floor, they told me at the time that they had over 40 open positions, good paying jobs, and 0 applicants. They had never seen anything like it. They were astounded by it. But that's what happens when big government pays people not to work. So I think we have to go back to fundamentals. We have to stress limited government, free enterprise, free markets, hard work, personal responsibility, and those are the principles that I will promote and champion as governor.
Thank you. Now we're going to have a lightning round, a series of quick questions. I think you all have figured out that we're going in order of podium number, and I'm not going to introduce you each time. But after I ask each question, I would like to hear a brief 1 or 2 word answer or yes or no answer. And we are going to begin each question at the same podium so it doesn't get too confusing. So we're going to begin these questions with Mr. MONN, and we'll continue through like that. School districts throughout Pennsylvania announced they would not reconvene in-person classes following the holiday break due to increased rate of COVID infections. Do you support this decision?
Yes, because of choice.
I'm trying to understand the question. I'm sorry.
School districts throughout Pennsylvania have recently announced they would not reconvene in-person classes due to the increased rate of COVID infections. Do you support this decision?
No, kids belong in class.
No, kids belong with in-person learning.
I do not support the decision. If I were on a school board, I would not have made that decision, but individual school districts do have the power to make it.
No, not in our children's best interest.
No.
Let local communities decide what's best for the local community.
No, the science and the history show that children are not affected by this. No.
Schools need to be open, kids need to be in them, and they need to be safe.
No, schools should be open, period.
Schools should be open and the kids should be protected.
No, schools should be open.
Schools should be open. We've already lost over a year's worth of education, and we can't allow that to continue.
Second question, brief answers, yes or no, please. Should students who attend public schools in Pennsylvania be required to attend their designated neighborhood school?
No.
Absolutely not.
No, school choice.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
No, empower parents.
I think you need to go to a school that's close to where you live, but you can't go 50 miles away. So you should have a choice, but within your county.
Heck no.
No way. I believe in school choice.
School choice.
No, parents have to have control of their kids' education.
Agreed. No, parents have to control their children's education.
And the final lightning round question. If you had to select one individual participating in tonight's debate to be your running mate and help ensure victory in the general election, who would you choose?
That's easy for me. A great guy, Dr. Zama.
My former boss, Senator Melissa Hart.
No, I would not, because I'm the only candidate to win in the general election, but I would not pick anyone that voted for Act 77 that gave Pennsylvania 50 days of no excuse mail-in voting.
Reflexively, I would choose Guy Shiraki.
How do you not love Zama?
I pick Zama too.
Seems to be the easy choice, Dr. Zama.
Well, I'm going to pick Dr. Zama as my health secretary, and then we're going to make things happen. My brother from another continent over there. How you doing?
You said anybody participating? Allison Kosha.
There's a lot of talent on this stage, but I think it's premature to pick a running mate at this point. That's a little presumptuous, so not yet.
All my life, I've espoused excellence in everything I do. And I want excellence for all our children and everybody in Pennsylvania. So everybody on this stage that espouses excellence, I think we can make a very powerful cabinet. I love you.
I would pick Senator Martin. We're both, I'm a three-time NCAA All-American wrestler. He's a wrestler. I think send the two wrestlers into Harrisburg. We will disrupt it and change things. And we definitely Dr. Zama, Health Secretary.
Let's see an exhibition.
Anybody on the stage would be a great choice, but I'm not going to limit to just the people on the stage. I want the best person to be lieutenant governor. That's what we should have, not just a limited choice.
Thank you all. That concludes our questioning, and we're now going to proceed to the candidate's 1-minute closing statement, which we hope you will include your top priorities in your agenda. But first of all, let's take a moment to have a round of applause and thank these candidates for their participation. We are beginning at podium, number 9, Commissioner Gale.
The number one issue facing our state is election integrity. People have lost faith and confidence in our election here in Pennsylvania, and that's due to Act 77. the unconstitutional legislation that gave Pennsylvania 50 days of no excuse mail-in voting, the longest vote-by-mail period of time in the entire nation. And this law was passed before the coronavirus. It had nothing to do with the pandemic. It was a political stunt done in Harrisburg. And every single Republican state senator voted for it. And in my opinion, anyone that voted for the devastating Act 77 legislation should be disqualified from holding any office, let alone being promoted to a higher office. And number one, on day one as your next governor, I will restore faith in our election system by doing away with mail-in voting, pushing for voter ID, restoring traditional absentee ballots, so you all can have faith in our election process in Pennsylvania, which is totally left. Because frankly, we all know that the guy that never left the basement, there's no way he received more votes than any candidate in the history of the country. So we have to fix it, and I'll get it done.
Ms. Hart?
People are leaving Pennsylvania, and when we ask why, we know the answer. We have anti-growth policies, we have inefficient and ineffective government services. The Harrisburg power brokers put their interests ahead of yours and behave like you work for them. We need responsive government. We need an economic policy that supports entrepreneurship, work, and the people of Pennsylvania. The key is common sense, sensible laws, sensible regulations that will lead to greater opportunity, more jobs, lower taxes, and no free money without expectations. And we have to prevent our children from being used as pawns of a bureaucracy that has no interest in their welfare, but only interest in pleasing the big unions and big education. I can't sit on the sidelines any longer, and I'm running for governor because we need common sense. And I know what the people want after 15 years serving in the private sector, after serving in the public sector.
Senator Martin?
There's a famous quote by Henry Ford that goes, "Mediocrity is the greatest adversary of prosperity." We have a lot to do to unleash Pennsylvania's economy. We have a lot to do to keep creating educational opportunities for our students. If we truly want to turn this state around to become a state that people are coming to, that has to be one of the most immediate things that we address to get people to plant their roots here. But what it's going to take is we have to have a candidate that can win in November. If we want to govern and make the changes that are necessary, who is in the best position to beat Tom Wolf 2.0 and Josh Shapiro come November? I stand here and I'm honored to be a candidate who comes from a very diverse district, with a core urban center, thriving suburbs, and a rural area. And despite millions of dollars of attacks, we're able to win handedly. Even being courageous and bold gets it done. And it would be an honor to be your next governor here in Pennsylvania.
Mr. Berger?
First, I'd like to decrease taxes. Gas taxes are getting out of control. If we at least bring them back down, it'll at least relieve price at the pump. People can't drive, they can't get to their jobs. There's other ways that we can do this. Next is ensuring voter integrity. These mail-in ballots were so corrupt this past election, it's not even funny. The things that I seen, the things that people done, people weren't even allowed into these places to even see them. Next is pro-life. I think it should be easier to, instead of aborting children and people using it as an abortion, we should be sitting there and making it easier for people to adopt kids, not easier for overseas kids to be adopted by people in the United States. End COVID mandates altogether. It's about your choice. It's not about the government's choice. Stabilizing and decriminalizing marijuana. I'm not saying making it legal. I'm just saying that people shouldn't be going to jail for little bits amounts of marijuana. Get them back working. I'm SHAWN Berger, and I'm running for governor. Thank you.
Senator Corman.
Thank you. I'm a conservative that wants to put people first. And you put people first by making Pennsylvania first. First in jobs, first in education, first in safe streets by supporting our men and women in law enforcement. You know, I'm running for governor because I want to empower people. I want to empower people to have safer, more prosperous lives. I want to, after 7 years of Tom Wolf, grabbing our freedoms, of shutting down our economy, of taking power for himself. We deserve that. We don't want that disastrous past. We want a future that embraces freedom and opportunity. It's time for choosing. Our values are at stake. Our freedoms are at stake. Together, we can defeat Josh Shapiro. Together, we can roll back Tom Wolf's legacy. Together, we can make sure all Pennsylvanians have freedom and opportunity all across this Commonwealth. If you believe that freedom is worth fighting for, if you believe that our communities, our Commonwealth is worth fighting for, then please vote for me, Jay Corman, a conservative that believes in putting people first by making Pennsylvania first.
Mr. Ventry.
I mentioned I published the first book on COVID in America. Amazon took it down. Facebook has my entire campaign shadow banned. I can't get my message out. The media, I reach out to them. They don't seem to want to interview anybody other than 5 candidates here. So they're a super PAC for a couple of inside candidates. That's the America we live in. That's not my America. And we're going to change it back through my plan. I'm a retired executive. I spent 26 years with a very large company. I was in charge of 3 states. I had so many responsibilities. The governor is the chief executive. You want an executive for that executive position. And I think I have the best executive experience for that. I've published 10 books. I'm hugely creative. You don't get that with politicians. You really don't. I think it's time to do a gut check. You've heard us. Who do you think is really going to do the things they say they're going to do? My website is voteforventry.com. I also am the only one with a website to recruit Asians and Hispanics, neversocialistusa.com. Go to that if you're Asian or Hispanic. Been doing that for 2 years. Thank you.
Mr. Giroux.
I'm running for governor of Pennsylvania because I believe that we are in a battle for the heart and soul of this nation. And I know that those battle lines run right through Pennsylvania this year. We have an opportunity to choose hope and economic freedom and individual liberty over the failed big government policies of Tom Wolf and Josh Shapiro. And I've led the fight against Josh Shapiro right from day one. The day that he announced his candidacy, I called on him to resign because I said it's wrong to take a taxpayer's check while you're trying to move up while our Pennsylvania citizens are moving out. So far, only one candidate on this stage has joined me in that call for Josh Shapiro to resign. I'm asking tonight, how many other candidates on this stage will say Josh Shapiro should resign immediately?
And never come back.
And never come back. How many? I see a lot of hands, but I don't see them all. I'll lead the fight against Josh Shapiro from now until November when we win. And I'll lead a fight for our future, for individual liberty, for economic prosperity. I ask every Pennsylvanian to join me in that fight because we will win from the people, for the people.
Mr. McSwain.
I want to lead our state because I love Pennsylvania and because I want to fight for you. And I know how to fight. I'm a Marine Corps infantry officer, and I'm a U.S. attorney appointed by President Trump. And I'm also a conservative outsider. I am not a career politician. I have spent my entire life running through walls, and there are no walls in Harrisburg that intimidate me. Pennsylvania is the cradle of liberty, and I think that it is the key to our country's future, a future rooted in liberty. Liberty was literally born in Pennsylvania, and it's not going to die on my watch. I will get the government off of your back, which will allow you and your family to prosper and thrive, which I think is your God-given right. We can have a brighter future in Pennsylvania, one with safe streets, one where our children are educated and with our economy thriving. Let's come together and make that future happen. God bless you, and God bless Pennsylvania.
Dr. Zama.
I'm that little 3-year-old in an African village, in a grass hut, who people said, you shouldn't go to school, you're too young. I fought hard and I did. You don't have any money, you can't go to secondary school. Yes, I lived in a grass hut. I graduated top of my class. You can't go to America with $20. This is a ticket. I arrived in New York years ago. You can't go to Harvard. Well, I'm a Harvard-trained heart surgeon. I wanted to be a scientist. Well, forget it. There's not a chance. I have a PhD in chemistry. And then what did I do? I left after graduating, traveled the world doing free surgery. Not only that, we can talk about education. I have done it. built schools, and supported education for thousands around the world. And when I come back here to Pennsylvania, the reason I'm running is because I want to lead the charge for a better future for our children. Everything we said tonight focuses on one person, our children. I have accomplished everything I set out to do, and I'm the guy that you can trust in Harrisburg. I don't have any baggage. I don't have any special interest. My primary focus is the people we serve, and you will never be disappointed. I want us to be excellent and number one in the U.S. in everything, education, industry, and make us the best nation.
Mr. Ritchie?
I grew up a blue-collar kid from a steel town in western Pennsylvania called Aliquippa, the home of Mike Ditka. And when I was growing up, the steel mills were failing, families were breaking up, and people were having a hard time finding food. I can remember my mom and dad, my dad mechanic, my mom public school teacher, through our church, Meals on Wheels, trying to help people get food. And what's upsetting, and I know you're all feeling it, is that Aliquippa, like many towns in Pennsylvania, is worse off today than it was 50 years ago when I was growing up. It is unacceptable. And we've got to do something different in Pennsylvania. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. We cannot elect another career politician to lead this state. And that is why I have stepped up. I am a political outsider. I am like you. I am frustrated that we never make progress, administration after administration, and we've got to do something different. And that's why I put together the contract with Pennsylvania to make bold changes to bring us to 0% income tax, shrink the size of our government, unleash energy, have education choice, and bring election integrity. And if we do these things, we will make Pennsylvania the most thriving state in the country and a place where our kids and our grandkids will stay.
Yes, I'm running because Pennsylvania government's broken. It's grown to a size that it can't get anything done. My father was a pipe fitter, my mom a homemaker. All they wanted for me and my 13 brothers and sisters was a better life. I'm fortunate enough that I was able to graduate high school, go to VOTEC, become a tradesman, and go out and start a business. Grow it to an $80 million a year business. I'm actually living the American dream. That can only happen in America. I want to make sure that can happen in Pennsylvania as well. I want to give those kids and the future of all of our children that opportunity. And I will be the one to do that. I will unleash the economy by tapping into the energy. We've been trying to pass school choice for the past 25 years and haven't gotten it done. I will be the governor that will sign a school choice bill that comes on my desk the first year. I will make sure that gets negotiated. I will make sure that gets done. I will make sure the parents have an opportunity to speak about their curriculum for their kids. There will be no critical race theory taught in any of the schools if I'm governor of Pennsylvania. Thank you for this evening.
Mr. MONN.
Well, you may have noticed tonight I'm probably not the typical kind of candidate you guys are used to seeing, and I take pride in that. I don't know anybody, so I can't name drop. I'm nobody in the party, so nobody cares about me. What I am, though, is quite simply this. I'm a regular guy who finally got fed up. Like most of you, I think, we're tired of trying to get the politicians, the elected leaders that we currently have, to understand what it's like to live day after day after day in the situations that they put us in. Okay? I've been told since the start of this race, but Jason, you're not educated enough. But Jason, you're not known enough. But Jason, what could you possibly bring to the situation? But Jason, you're too young. And you know what I'm going to say to that? An old adage I once was told by my grandpa. It says, you know, when you lead with your butts, you end up looking like an ass. And I say that quite simply because of this, guys. It's time for a new kind of candidate. It's time to take a chance on somebody who hasn't been brought up in the system and who isn't locked into anybody. My name's Jason MONN. Go to jasonmonn.com. I am the common guy with common sense. Thank you all.
Mr. Shiraki.
Here we go. We all know how bad it's been. The mandates, the lockdown, declining population. But I didn't run for governor to tell you how bad it's been. I'm offering hope and a path forward. I know how good things can be. When my Thunder softball team graduates high school, this is what Pennsylvania should look like. Where our unemployment rate is better than the national average. Where no child has to leave the state to find a career. Where parents are in charge of education and every child has the chance to succeed. where we're #1 in energy with modern manufacturing, where we have world-renowned life sciences, medicine, and growing agriculture and trade. Our cities are places we're excited to visit, and everyone's safe to live in them. But leadership is offering a plan forward, not just telling you how bad it's been. My life story tells you that I'll get it done. You can learn more at guyforgov.com. Join with me. Pennsylvania can be a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Failing these kids is not an option. Thank you.
Thank you all candidates for an engaging and lively debate. And now back to Chris.
Thank you, Becky, Allison, and Terry for the terrific job you did moderating the debate. And thank you to Amber Little-Turner, our hardworking timekeeper. Thank you very much. And thanks to the candidates and the PCN for broadcasting this, and for Dickinson for hosting it. Please note that on Monday, February 21st at 7 p.m., the Commonwealth Series will reconvene in suburban Philadelphia for a televised debate among the Republican candidates for U.S. Senate. Stay tuned for more details on that. On behalf of our sponsors, thank you and good evening.